Well then, okay, we're supposed to start with a lesson. And this is the First Church of Meher Baba the Awakener, lesson, standard lesson. Okay, so you're going to look for a signal, this is what mine looks like. And say, ask a question, can I cure cancer? I get yes. And then I will tell you a story. I love telling stories. I never talk about Immunix. It's the way to get your feelings hurt. So and it bores people, so I don't do it. Um, but I love telling stories. And sometimes people enjoy them, and sometimes they learn something from them. And I got a few I was thinking about today. I was doing a lot of thinking about this today. And remembering people, different times in the past. Some of the people have passed on. Most of the stories I have are about how people fail. And, I don't want to focus you on failing, but what can I do? I have see, to me, the real tragedy is a failure that comes after a success. But I could start by telling you a success about how I cured my herpes, because there's a lot in this story about how people fail too. And this is the thing, you've got to watch for these red flags if you're ever going to accomplish anything with anything. You can apply this stuff to anything. I cured my herpes and went and took a nap. And when I woke up, it was back. Now, question number one that you should be asking is, how did I know I cured my herpes? Because there wasn't any visible change in the sores, but they didn't hurt anymore. It was like they weren't there. And that's how I knew. But really, how did I know? Well, a lot of this depends on your connection with God and how much trust in God you have. Your sense of, like confidence in God, and that God wouldn't knowingly allow you to go down the wrong path, even if, but I mean, you obviously can go down the wrong path. It's like, look around you. No, anybody who sits here and says, well, you can't possibly go down the wrong path, is nuts. No, it isn't that. It's that if you're sincerely trying to apply yourself, and do something for yourself, and you're asking God to help you and guide you, that God will, let's put it this way, I think God does his best in a bad situation. I've gone back to by the way, referring to God as a he, but don't worry about it. If you're a woman, I don't mean to insult you. You know, God doesn't have a sex. Not only isn't God sexist, but he doesn't have any sex. God is everything and nothing. And, okay, so I knew that I cured my herpes, and then I woke up and it was back. I went and took a nap. This is like a scant 2 hours later. I woke up and I had it back, and it felt bad and all the stuff that goes with it. And so I took it out again. I just did it again, you know. And I went through all my bodies. All these procedures, by the way, for curing things can tend to be very intricate, and even then you may need to do another procedure about a whole different thing. You know, like if you're in a trauma, you're not going to cure your herpes by taking it out. But I had been working on myself for months. And one of the things that worked for me really easily, and I'll show you, this, you might get something out of this. Just ask, do I have any disturbances? You can use that word. Do I have any disturbances in my emotional body? And if you get a signal, which looks like this, then you just say, okay, I'm now removing all disturbances from my emotional body. And you give it a second, then wait for another signal. That was not a signal, because I don't have any, but so I can't really test that I've removed them. But and you wait till you get a signal, and then you test, have I removed all disturbances from my emotional body? This is how you remove things. Now, if you did this and succeeded with it, you have heard Meher Baba speak to you. That is Meher Baba's word. The word that he promised to speak. And he said he was going to speak it in people's hearts. And you never heard of Meher Baba before. It don't matter. You have to pay attention, you know, to what matters and what doesn't in life, or you're going to be running down a lot of blind alleys, which is what most people spend their lives doing. So, look, I won't fault you if you run down blind alleys or turn off this movie and never watch me again or whatever, you know. It's okay. I won't be offended. I think I've inhaled a bug. Well, it worked. I took it out. And so I felt good. See, you notice when you've cured something by a change in how you feel. Doesn't that make sense? You know, like when you got the flu, you feel lousy, and then one morning it's gone. You know, your body fought it off, and you feel, wow, what a difference. You know, oh boy, the flu's gone. Well, with this thing, you can cure your flu in 15 minutes. So, that being said, for many, many, many days, months, I kept finding herpes in myself and feeling it. I could feel it. I learned to feel it even when I didn't have an outbreak, that I still had it. I might not have an outbreak, but I could tell when I had it again. and I took it out over and over and over again. And the thing is that, I found it in the bodies that it was in. See, one of the reasons, like, they can't cure cancer and they can't cure herpes and they can't cure all this stuff is they're looking in the wrong body. It's in other bodies before it's ever in the physical body. Aren't those people with loud mufflers annoying? I mean, not to me particularly, but that's why they do it. They want attention. They want people to notice them. Because nobody ever will, really. This is one of the things that, I've had to get used to, that very few people ever noticed me. Even when I had thousands of students, almost none of them were actually my students. One of them once said that to me. I forget, she said like something along the lines of, "I'm not your student, and she named the name of some staff person, who was a member of my staff. Now, I'm his student. Can't remember who it was anymore that she talked about. See what I mean about nobody noticing you? Anyway, we had a friend named Sherry. And when I say we, I mean my friend Barb and I, my associate co-minister in this church. We had a friend named Sherry. And after we stopped doing our courses, long years later, Sherry got cancer. And so Barb, my friend, went to her and said, "Okay, I'll help you cure your cancer." And Sherry took a little, guidance and direction from her, but I think that, Sherry was not really connected to Barb that way. Barb was sort of a friend / acquaintance who Sherry liked, but really wasn't willing to, she really wasn't willing to do anything for Barb. And Barb once asked her for a pass to the hot tubs, and she wouldn't give her a pass. So that's like not being willing to do anything. But also, see, she was the student of a former staff member, another person, who set up something where they took donations and they raised like thousands of dollars, because this other woman really had a lot of pull with everybody in Santa Fe. And she raised thousands of dollars, and she bought Sherry a state-of-the-art medical treatment with it. And took a little for herself as a fee for her work on the project. And anyway, but most of it went to this medical treatment, and the treatment worked, and Sherry went into remission. And then she died. She came out of remission. She died a few years later. I think they tried it again, but it often doesn't work the second or third time. Or maybe they just couldn't raise the money again or whatever. I don't know. I'm, fuzzy about it. But you see, the thing is that Barb could have cured her cancer with her. Barb is good. She could have done that. But it's like most people are like that. They accept information, they accept help, whatever it is you want to call it, from certain people and not others. And if you're not one of those people, you just have to let go of them. You know, like, uh, never talk about immunics with people. You know, you can tell stories if you want. I love telling stories about it. And stories are interesting, you know, and I think sometimes people relate to them. And if they don't relate to that, then that's kind of the last resort, other than just sitting there. Like, see, the thing is, first of all, I have another guy who was curing his herpes. He was doing pretty good, you know, actually. He did not, you know, he did not get to the point where he had completely stopped his outbreaks, but he had drastically reduced. I mean, he had horrible herpes, way worse than the one I had when I cured it. He had herpes outbreaks like the ones I had when I first got it, which was 28 years before I cured it. So it had ramped down by the time I cured it. But in that particular time when I cured it, my immune system was down anyway. I'd been drinking a lot and eating a lot of sweets, and so my immune system was pretty messed up at the time when I cured it, and that's why. Um, that's, by the way, that's one thing that really showed me that God did this, because my body and my immune system were what let it in. You know, that's how I got the herpes outbreak. Not the herpes, but the herpes outbreak came because I just fell on my face with my diet, um, and there came the herpes, you know. And I was right in the middle of it, and I knew that it wasn't going to be my body. It had to be intervention, you know. So, see, also, it did require that I had confidence in myself. You know, I had to feel strongly enough that I was able to do this. Maybe I just needed enough other kinds of cures, you know, like emotional type cures under my belt, you know, and I'd been, as I said, been doing it for months, and I'd been curing traumas and whatever. You know, I gave you an example before with emotional, you know, disturbances or something. That's a very minor thing, by the way. Almost anybody can cure them. But it's not. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're ready to cure your cancer, you know, yet. Anyway, uh, I mean, but it's nice to feel good, though, isn't it? That can definitely say it's nice to feel good. Um, so anyway, this guy, his name was Sam, and he was a pianist, and he may have completely cured his herpes at this point. I don't know. I haven't talked to him for years, but he got really excited, and he went and he told his friend about it, and his friend just started poo-pooing it and putting it down, and Sam felt terrible, and he got a serious herpes outbreak right after that. And then I talked to him, and don't tell anybody about Immunix. You're just going to get your feelings hurt. You know, they're not going to get anything out of it, you telling them about it. So forget it. It's a waste of time and energy. Um, if you have a friend who is really hurting, and it's something like herpes that you know he can cure, you know, no problem, then you've got to sit down with him and sit with him till he cures it. And he'll have it back in 3 hours, and then you got to do it again. If And God knows how many times you'll have to do that before he'll ever believe that it's actually happening and do it on his own without you. So if you're not really that committed to this person, you just got to let him suffer. There's nothing you can do about it. Because frankly, not me, not you, neither of us are that committed to people, most people. You know? Like Barb feels like she always feels really, really committed to people. But I think that Barb, I notice from because I talk to Barb all the time, and I think she's learned over the years, over many, many years, that she, you know, doesn't really, she cares and she wants to help, but she doesn't really care a sufficient amount for what the person needs. They need a new parent. They need somebody who changes their diaper for 15 months or whatever. I don't know how long they change babies' diapers, but I never had any kids, but I'm guessing, it's just pure guesswork. But you get the idea. Who's willing to do that for an adult? It's like you can't really expect that of yourself. It just isn't fair. You have to have fair expectations of yourself. So, okay, I think that's good enough for this movie. It's been a real blast. I do enjoy making these. You know, I could be doing something else, like pumping iron over there in the gym, which is where I am. I'm at Spirlino Y, and I'm out here in the woods on the campus. But, I really would rather do this. I like it out here better than in the gym, even though the gym's beautiful there. It's really gorgeous. Floor to ceiling glass. Just gorgeous place. Anyway, so if you managed to make it through the whole movie, it's been a real pleasure to be with you. Bye.